Oh, that was too slow. Awesome.
The frog didn't come off, but so many times the frog comes off.
Or the flag comes off. Yeah, that happens.
Sometimes, but not all of these parts come off.
Well, that's good. Yeah. They do have eggs.
Can you make something with no eggs for me?
Oh, I absolutely will.
Yeah. What can you make?
I don't know yet.
Maybe a burger.
A burger?
Yeah.
Well, I can make that for you for lunch. You just ate a hot dog for breakfast, right?
Yeah, but maybe I can eat a lunch.
You ready to eat lunch right now?
Yeah.
It's still breakfast time, man. It is Sunday and I'm doing my weekly food prep, and I have a lot of things that I want to get done, but I don't know how much I will actually get done because I have other things going on today and it is just very busy, but I will bring you along with whatever ends up happening. I already have my first batch of egg white bread finished. I decided to do some mini loaves. I used the recipe from my, what did I call it? My best egg white bread recipe so far or yet or something. Anyways, I will link that recipe up in the cards. It's the one with butter powder, and I used the egg yolk powder option in this one. You can do either the whole egg powder or the egg yolk powder, and I opted for egg yolk powder this time. And I did make it into mini loaves, so I cooked the smaller mini loaves for, I think it was 35 minutes, and then the little bit bigger mini loaf I cooked for, I think, close to 40 minutes, which may have been a touch too much because it kind of got brown. But I also wanted to make a batch of Hawaiian rolls, Amy's Hawaiian rolls from Carnivore's Angel. But I want to make some tweaks because I made her recipe as close to exact as possible. Just that one switch of cutting out the xanthan gum and adding the gelatin. And because I always try to try people's recipes as close to exactly like they wrote it the first time, and then I go from there and make tweaks for my own taste because everyone has their own tastes, and it's nice that we were able to, tweak things the way we like them. So I'm gonna just do another batch of those with a couple little tweaks, see how it turns out, and those will be what I use for my egg white bread for the week. All right, I'm getting ready to do my Hawaiian rolls, and basically the adjustments I am going to make is first I'm going to increase the recipe by 50% because last time you saw in my video it didn't quite fill up my whole giant pan. I think this pan is bigger than the one that Amy used in her video, and I just want to do an entire giant pan, so increase it by 1/2. I'm also going to increase the egg white protein powder just a little bit. I'm hoping that doing that will help them not deflate quite as much. We'll see. The other thing that I'm going to do that I think might help with the deflation is, which they didn't deflate that much. They were fine. They tasted great. If they turn out just like the last batch, I won't be disappointed, but you know me, I'm always trying to tweak things and just see what happens. And so I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons of arrowroot, and that I think will stabilize the batter a little bit. I'm going to increase the pineapple extract. I just want to get a little bit more pineapple flavor, and extracts, have different strengths. So maybe the one I was using wasn't quite as strong, although I still did get that nice little pineapple aftertaste, and it was really good. And I just wanted a little bit more of it. So I'm going to increase that a little bit. Two other things I'm going to do is decrease the nutritional yeast. I'm going to still use a little bit. Her recipe calls for 2 tablespoons, and I'm making the recipe 1.5 times her original recipe, but I'm only going to put in 1 tablespoon. So it's less than half of what she did in hers, and that's just a personal taste preference. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to decrease just slightly the amount of egg yolks I put in. I think the egg yolks kind of cause a little bit of deflation as well. So I was just going to decrease it. I want the flavor. Like, I really liked the texture and the flavor that the egg yolks gave. So I don't want to get rid of them completely. I just want to decrease them a little bit. So 1.5 times the recipe should have called for about 7.5 egg yolks. But I am going to just put 6 egg yolks in my 1.5 times recipe. If this works out, and if it turns out decent. I will put the measurements that I use down in the description below. Of course, I definitely recommend you go and try Amy's recipe first and just get a baseline and then tweak from there for your taste preferences. So I made this bread this morning and it's 4:09. I've had other stuff I had to take care of, but this is all that's left. So not a whole lot of prep for the week. I probably should do double the amount that I did today if I really wanted to save some for the week. But lots of people in the family have been munching on this and enjoying it today, and that makes me happy. Yes, Levi?
I need a flashlight.
A flashlight for what?
For downstairs to the fairy done.
Well, you know what? You were given a flashlight at Christmas and you lost it.
But I didn't have one for
So
me.
no, I'm not going to give you another one because you lost your flashlight that you got. That's why we need to take care of our things.
Hey, Mom. I don't know what can I shine for my flash for my daughter.
I don't have anything for you to shine.
I need something.
I'm sorry.
Shine.
You should have taken better care of your things. All right, look at these. I was trying to get them to be more stabilized and they flattened even more than the original ones did. So I realized, as I just put them into the oven, I realized that I forgot to put salt in the batter. Total fail. And salt can affect how the batter acts, so it wasn't a good experiment. They look like they'll still taste good, and I'm interested to see how much more they deflate as they cool. But yeah, there you go. They're gonna taste good. And they still look pretty cute, but just not as perfect as I would have hoped. Okay, these have been cooling for about 10 minutes, and they really didn't deflate a lot, which is good. They kind of just did their deflating during the cook time, but then didn't do the big deflate after, so that's good. So this is about how my Hawaiian buns were before when I made them with the original recipe. They poofed up really big in the oven, and then they sunk down afterwards. So we ended up with about the same thing. Oh, I have a streak of memory foam in there that I didn't quite get mixed in. Or it's where the yolk didn't get mixed into the roll. The pineapple flavor is very forward. I used a whole teaspoon in this 1.5 recipes worth. So definitely pineapple-y. The taste is really good. I don't think it's quite as soft as Amy's. That's probably just because of the extra egg white powder that I used. I was trying to get the stabilized batter. And Amy's really like melted in your mouth. This has a little bit more structure to it, which makes sense because of the egg white powder and because of the arrowroot powder as well. But the flavor is really good. It still mushes down really nicely when you take a bite. It doesn't like spring back up like a sponge. I think if I was just going to eat them like straight off the pan, I'd prefer Amy's because they're softer and like I said, they're melt in the mouth. But these have a little bit more structure, so like if you were going to use it for a hot dog bun or something, I think it would maybe hold up a little better. But the taste is really good. All right, I decided to do another batch with the salt just because I wanted to be sure. And I made my scoop. I didn't fill my scoop as much each time, so I was able to get the full, 6 rows. And so we'll see how it goes.
And then you had to go pee, and I had to hold Izzy while you went pee, and that was crazy, huh? I don't know. I'm gonna run that home Depot.
So I think these turned out a little bit better. They're still flat. I haven't found anything yet that will keep the nice big round puffy rolls, but they look really good. And it worked really well just making the scoops a little bit smaller, making sure they were really flat on the bottom. And that gave me a full pan's worth. This is I think it's a half sheet pan. And so if you have a giant pan like this, it works well to do the 1.5 times the recipe, and then make sure your scoops are not too enormous. And I'll put down in the description the size of the ice cream scoop that I use. But that is how they look. I think it's pretty good. I don't know that it's better than the original. I think the original is really, really tasty. But like I said, I think if you're going to use these for like a bun for a hamburger or something, maybe you want a little bit more structure. But if you're just going to eat them hot off the pan, then just go for Amy's recipe because it's really melt in your mouth. So because of the busyness of the day, all I got done was the Hawaiian rolls and the bread. And I guess we'll just call this video a baking day video instead of a meal prep video this time. But I am glad to have a big stock of Hawaiian buns and a little bit of bread for the rest of the week. And that should hold me. Thanks so much for hanging out in the kitchen with me today, and I will see you again in another video. Bye, guys.
How we do dessert? It has to be, it could be any food. Okay. You put it in here.
You're not a baby anymore?
Is that enough for you? Or is too much?
You're such a stinker.